What is going on, guys? What's poppin'? So we got to talk about the San Antonio Spurs big victory over the Boston Celtics last night in San Antonio. Was it a big win? Yes, absolutely. Was it a bit sloppy? For sure, right? So most notably, the second half, that third quarter, we were up by, God, I need to look at the score. I got my phone right here. So I'm going to go ahead and look at what it was at halftime and see if I can find what we put it to in the second half, because it was really bad. Let's see. Might not be able to find a score, but yeah, actually I do. So 47-61 at the end of the half. And we went on a little run with like 20 seconds left in the half where we're up 47-57, and Patty Mills gets like a layup or something. We get a steal, pass it to a guy for another easy layup right at the end of the half. So that was awesome. That was after a big run. Second quarter, give a lot of freaking credit to Lonnie Walker, who we'll talk about, who I believe had 2 threes and was 3 from twos. So he kind of dominated that quarter, played really good defense, especially by his standards. So we had a great second quarter, a really bad third quarter where we started to fall apart. And then Devin Vasel comes out and hits his one shot of the game, big 3. And we kind of pull together a little run in the fourth quarter, come back, get that dub. And man, it felt nice. And it really kind of shows the weakness of some of these teams in the East. And Boston's being one, their bench. They just didn't have any depth last night to really speak of. And 2, their just lack of size. I mean, when you're trotting out Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson and Robert Williams. I mean, the Spurs bigs have definitely struggled this year, but man, they were big, they were physical, and they kind of dominated the Celtics, and that was the tail of the tape. So the Spurs looked impressive, despite the fact that we had some bad stretches during the game. And let's go and look at the box score and check out what we did good, what we did bad, that kind of stuff. I don't love looking at my phone with these videos, guys, but it definitely helps. Just not forgetting certain people, certain plays, that kind of thing. So, starting off with DeMar DeRozan, was he super aggressive last night? No, not really. Didn't take a ton of shots. Defensively, kind of 34 minutes. But one thing he did really freaking well was he was super efficient. He only shot the ball 8 times. He made 7 of them. 2 of those from 3. He also had 5 rebounds and 7 assists. So he really distributed the ball well. And again, just the rebounds, he rebounded the ball well. Poeltl rebounded the ball well. Kelden Johnson, they really struggle with our size, right? Next, we're looking at Kelden Johnson. Speaking of, he was basically Andre Drummond last night. When it came to the poor shooting, he looked like Andre Drummond shooting the ball. And teams have, like I mentioned, started to figure out the fact that Kelden Johnson can't really shoot. Now, are his percentages horrible? I don't think so. But he's going through a rough patch, right? He's struggling to shoot the 3 ball. He airballed one last night. He's done that the past few games, it seems like. So really looking for him to find a shooting touch. But outside of that, man, he was freaking awesome. His energy is just, man, it just feeds off to the other players. It's contagious, right? So he was under the basket getting boards over Tristan Thompson, over Daniel Tice, over Jaylen Brown, just going back up with it. He played like an old school center last night. It was awesome to see out of a wing. Defensively, he was really good as well. So really good rebounder. My comparison right now is probably Russell Westbrook, just a bigger, just as strong, maybe not quite as athletic, but man, his athleticism really stood out last night too. When he was passive on the 3-point shots, which he can't be against some other teams, but Boston wasn't really playing him that well. He passed up a 3, drove to the basket, had a real explosive dunk. I don't remember when it was, third or fourth quarter. And man, it was just a joy to watch him play. One of the few guys on the team that I think does have all-star potential, definitely Kelden Johnson, averaging 14 points a game. He had 18 last night. And moving on to Lamarcus Aldridge, who, as many negative things as I've been saying about him lately, he shot the ball really well last night. And when he can space the floor like that, and he's a 7-footer that can shoot threes and play center, he is effective. And he made 3 of 6 last night. He had 20 points. He was pretty efficient shooting the ball. And man, it just really opens up our offense. Now, defensively, was he good in the paint? Yeah, he did a decent job at protecting the rim. I'd say better than usual, better than average. But man, Lamarcus Aldridge can't move his feet anymore. And I'm not sure if it's due to, I am a bit sure it's not due to lack of effort. I just think he's getting up there in age. Now, he could probably be in better shape. He does look a little heavy, especially for his role, right? When he was playing back to the basket, posting guys up and stuff years previously, that extra weight might not hurt. But now I wouldn't mind seeing him lose 5-10 pounds. Man, maybe 10's a little aggressive, but at least 5 pounds, just lean out just a little bit. And when you're playing as a stretch 5, I think that would help a little, and maybe help him move his feet a little bit. Because, again, he was playing against a stretch center last night and Daniel Tice, and he did struggle to move his feet. Like I said, a lot of that due to his age, some of it due to his size as well. Next, we'll talk about, and he only had 3 rebounds last night, so he wasn't the guy getting up boards, but another guy I failed to mention who rebounded the ball really well with the double-double was Dejante Murray, 11 rebounds, 11 points, and kind of a bag of mixed goods, if we're being completely honest. He went through stretches during the game where he was struggling, right? And then he turns it on, attacks the basket. I think his good stretch was when we started to come back, so that's a good thing. When he's aggressive, the offense is rolling, and I can tell you right now, the offense is still going through growing pains, especially that starter unit, but it is nothing like how we started that season last year with Dejante Murray just refusing outright to shoot the ball, Bryn Forbes, shooting the ball, but not having a ton of hot shooting nights. And then when he wasn't making his shots, he just wasn't good at anything else. DeMar DeRozan completely refusing to shoot the ball, which he no longer does. Took 2 threes tonight, made both of them. Trey Lyles, guy that could knock down some shots, but he was just passive, and he's kind of just a passive player. So when you got those guys in the starting lineup, and Lamarcus Aldridge wasn't taking as many threes last year either. So you could tell why our offense struggled a little more last year in the starting lineup and why they just weren't very consistent. Next, Lonnie Walker. Like I said, there was a stretch in the second quarter where we built up this nice 10, 15-point lead, and he was the best player in the game, arguably, at that time. And I'm talking like when Jaylen Brown's in there, when Jason Tatum's in there. When Lonnie Walker's at his best, man, he just looks explosive. He's knocking down threes, he's attacking to the basket, and he's finishing well. And he does have games where he can really finish well at the basket. Once he unlocks that consistently, guys, he's going to be a tough guard. And in my opinion, the second guy that I think could definitely be an all-star. And we could say the same thing about Dejante Murray, right? I'm not saying any of those 3 guys are going to be a superstar, but I would guarantee you that at least one of Dejante Murray, Lonnie Walker, and Kelden Johnson are going to be an all-star. I wouldn't even bet on one over the other right now because they're each showing so much. I mean, is Kelden Johnson the most exciting? Maybe, but you got to be excited about the leaps and bounds Dejante Murray is still taking in his 4th or 5th season. First real year back from that big injury. So he struggled some last year, but this year, he's starting to elevate his game again. So that's good to see. Lonnie Walker might be the least exciting out of the 3, but man, that's saying something. I mean, he can ball, and he's definitely stepped his game up as well. And like I said, I still kind of consider him more of not a true rookie, but he's kind of a bit of a rookie. He's never had consistent playing time leading up to this season, right? So now we'll talk about the bench, which was a bag of mixed goods, mostly not great. Rudy Gay just had a tough shooting night. Don't have the stat. Let's see. 0 for 5 from 3. 2 of 8 from the floor. 7 points. And, guys, defensively, he was just not good. It just wasn't moving very well last night. He had a lot of games last year where he wasn't moving well and he struggled. Kind of like this. He hasn't had a ton of games this year. Even when he's struggling to score the ball, which has been rare, he's actually the problem sometimes this year is he gets too aggressive, even when he is making shots. But I haven't seen him move this poorly much this year. So I don't think it's anything we have to worry about, especially with the rest of the team playing well. Just had an off game, right? Jakob Poeltl, who I've been a little down on lately. he had another bounce back night where he was just bigger and stronger than everybody out there, and that says something. Daniel Tice, Tristan Thompson, Robert Williams couldn't keep up with his size, his rebounding, and he was physical. And let me tell you something about Jakob Poeltl. When he can out physical the opposing center and just out muscle him and use his size and strength, he's gonna be really good. He's gonna have a good defensive night. He's gonna have a good rebounding night, and sometimes he hits some little shots in the post too. But I'll say this: there's maybe half the teams in the Western Conference right now where he just can't do that, and he gets overwhelmed by. And what I'll do here in a minute when I'm done with the box score is I'll go through the Western Conference and go over the bigs and see how he matches up with them, because there is a chance that as soon as next year, but maybe not, that he might be the starting center on the Spurs. So who knows? We'll see. We'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the video. But Patty Mills had a poor shooting night from 3-0-4, but I believe it was in the third or the fourth quarter when we really needed some buckets. He was hitting some mid-range jump shots and getting to the basket and finishing, and he ended up with 12 points. Yeah, 12 points in 27 minutes. So not a super hot night for him. Didn't shoot the three ball well, but he made the most of it, right? He was doing other things correctly. And that's something that some of these other guys can learn from Patty, especially the young guys. But they all had a good game for it. You know, Kelden Johnson even, especially him. When you're not shooting the ball well, you got to be able to contribute in other ways, and they both did, right? Lonnie Walker is definitely one of the guys who needs to learn, when I'm not knocking down shots, I got to be able to do other things. Now, this wasn't one of those nights for him. He did make some shots, but just in general, because he struggles finishing in the basket, and when the defense isn't good, he's got to do some of those things when he's not hitting his shots, is what I'm saying. The last guy in the rotation being Devin Vasel. So just poor shooting night from him. He did hit a timely three-point shot. Shooting stroke looks really good. I'll reiterate it over and over again. High release, fairly, pretty smooth release in that he can get it off over just about anybody his size, right? Everything else pretty good. The help defense, team defense was really good. So that's kind of starting to become his thing. Now he does have to be able to knock down some shots sometimes as well, though. That's one thing I do want to see out of him if he's going to stay in the rotation this year. He's doing great defensively. He's got to be able to hit some shots. The mid-range game, he's shown flashes of it, but he's got to be able to knock them down with some consistency. That's what it comes down to with the young guys, is mostly consistency. Now, let's take a quick look at that Western Conference that I talked about on my phone. Let's see here. Look at the team stats, just because I haven't looked at this yet. We shot 28% from three, not great, but still won the game. 56% field goal percentage, so we really did just crush them in the paint. Out-rebounded them by 6 rebounds, 11 defensive rebounds. So we only had 9 offensive rebounds. They actually had more, but our best offensive rebounder last night, if I had to guess, was either Dejante Murray or most definitely Kelden Johnson. But anyways, got a little sidetracked there. Going to the Western Conference standing. So I think we were like ninth heading into that game, and one win put us at 7th. So past, let's see, the 4th seed, we got Utah is tied with LA with 14 wins. The Clippers have 13. Denver has 11. And then it's Portland, for some reasons, ahead of us, 5th with 9 wins, 9-7, but Golden State and us are 10-8, and then you can go all the way down to 9-10. 11th is 8-10, so that's just a difference in like a game. So it's a big margin, or I guess I should say a very small margin from a 5th seed to like a 10th, 12th seed, right? So that's something to make note of. But if I'm looking at starting centers in the Western Conference, Utah Jazz, Rudy Gobert. So completely dominates the Spurs when we play Rudy Gobert. And I'm only going to talk about Jakob Poeltl because at some point Lamarcus Aldridge will be replaced. Whether it be during the season, kind of unlikely. The end of the season, probably most likely. Or in the future coming, 1 to 2 to 3 years. I doubt he'll last 3 years with the team, personally. But, yeah, Gobert dominates Lamarcus Aldridge and Jakob Poeltl. Defensively and the paint, he mostly gives the Spurs struggles just attacking the rim. He shuts us down, right? The Los Angeles Lakers, I guess this year you could say their center is Marc Gasol and Montrezl Harrell, who really shouldn't give us fits, but they have, which is weird. I think Poeltl's fared pretty decent against them. Not 100% positive of that. But at the same time, Anthony Davis is really their center, I guess, of the future. I mean, he's clearly a superstar right now. But when those guys are gone, he'll be the starting center, obviously, at some point in the future. Completely dominates Jakob Poeltl, right? Los Angeles Clippers, I forgot who they went out and got this offseason, but I know they have Zubac. Not too sure how he matches up with Poeltl. But, the Clippers are so deep in other positions. Where, when you have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, then you don't necessarily need a dominant big. Portland Trailblazers have Yusuf Nurkic, who really good center. I'd say a more quality center than Poeltl for sure, but he is still hurt, I believe. So right now, I think they're starting Enes Kanter, who can score in the post, who's a solid rebounder, terrible defender, but Poeltl can probably match up with him somewhat. The Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, completely just the type of guy to destroy Poeltl. So see what I'm kind of saying here? We'll just go over the top 8 teams because I don't need to go through the whole entire Western Conference. But half these guys are just going to destroy Jakob Poeltl. Golden State, James Wiseman. Poeltl cannot keep up with his athleticism. At some point in his career, he's going to be able to stretch the floor, I think, at a high rate. And then the Memphis I can't talk right now. The Memphis Grizzlies have Jonas Valanciunas, who I believe Poeltl actually matches up pretty decently with. Again, half the center. So out of that top 8, I think 4 of them kind of eat Poeltl's lunch, and the rest of them don't match up so bad. So guys, not much else to talk about. We do need to mention that by the time I post this video, will probably be Friday morning. Derrick White is supposed to potentially return Friday or Saturday night. So that'll be exciting to see, right? And there is going to be a video coming up talking about what the plan is with Derrick White moving forward. Is he going to be featured in the rotation as the starting shooting guard? Is he going to be the backup shooting guard or, play guard alongside Patty Mills? Or is he someone that we might have to move on from and try to get like a higher draft pick, kind of like what we did with George Hill? I'd say he probably has similar value as Hill did at that point in his career, maybe even a little higher, trading up for that 15 pick the next year with Kawhi Leonard, and maybe we can trade up for a similar top 10, top 15 pick and get our big guy next year in the draft. Just a suggestion, because at the end of the day, I love Derrick White as a talent. Sometimes he's the best player on the team, but he's 26 years old. Does he have that all-star potential that those other guys have? I don't know if he does at this point, but I could be wrong. I'm not even saying I'm wrong, because I'm not saying he doesn't have that. It's just something we're gonna have to look into and think about moving forward, because when you have Derrick White, Dejante Murray, Lonnie Walker, and Kelden Johnson, there's a room in the starting lineup for all of them but one, right? And is this really the point where Lonnie Walker's starting to get his first real minutes? He's starting to play with some sort of consistency, having the best year of his career so far. Do we want to take him out of the starting lineup and down his minutes and not use him as much? I think that's a dangerous thing to do at his young age. Man, when he's really just he's about to blossom, I think you got to keep him there. So it's just something we're going to have to think about. And maybe Derrick White will just fit right in coming off the bench. We're just going to have to wait and see, right? But either way, it elevates the team's strength. That's another guy that can shoot threes, play defense, and handle the ball, run the floor. So when the offense is struggling, he's another guy that can come in and kind of pick up that slack, right? So it is exciting that he's coming back. One other thing I wanted to mention, we sent Luka Samanic to Austin, and not too sure if that season started. I think the season has started. So maybe that's somewhere that Trey Jones is going to go soon, where he should. Quindary Weatherspoon definitely should as well. Drew Eubanks, he's not getting any kind of minutes, so you could argue that him or Keita Bates-Diop. Send those guys to Austin and get them playing time. But I would say especially Luka needs that daily playing time, and I think he's still going to be overwhelmed at the NBA level. So that's good to hear. It's good to see. Look at one more thing, who we have coming up this weekend. I know we play Denver the day I post this on Friday, and Saturday is the Memphis Grizzlies. So I want to see us at the very worst with Derrick White back, split that series. Guys, leave me a comment giving me your thoughts over the big win over Boston and what you think's going on with the Spurs right now. Are we going to be a playoff team? We're a very fringe playoff team right now. We're a good team, but there's a lot of solid teams in the Western Conference who we're going to have to beat and compete with if we want to make the playoffs, and the Memphis Grizzlies coming up on Saturday are one of those teams. So guys, do me a big favor, smash that subscribe button for some more Spurs and Dallas Cowboys and some other content sometimes, and that notification bell next to it. And that's going to do it for today, guys. I'm out. Peace!